Here's a 2010 Chevy Cobalt. I had a diagnostic trouble code 651. Sensor 5 volt, reference B open. And I'll go over the fix. Basically found a wiring harness rubbing up against the oil filter housing. So background on what happened to him. He's driving home from work. A few minutes on the drive, he made a left-hand turn. He got a reduced power message, and he said he couldn't drive the car more than 15 miles an hour. He pulled over in the car, turned the car off, waited about 10 minutes, started to back up, was able to drive home. That happened to him twice. So he called me, and I said I'll take a look at it. I drove out to get the vehicle. Same thing, I pulled up the scan tool and got the 651 code and attempted to drive it home. I have a 3-hour drive. So about a half hour into the drive home, I got the same thing. I was doing 70 miles an hour and I got the reduced power. I noticed the tachometer dropped off immediately. I was able to maintain 60 miles an hour, but as I decreased speed, I was unable to accelerate. By the time I pulled over, the car started to stumble and then it finally stalled. I waited 10 minutes, the car restarted. I drove another hour and a half, and then I got the same thing. The tachometer dropped off, the car would not accelerate. I was able to drive it, pull over, turned the car off, waited 10 minutes, restarted, and got the car home. Once I got the car home, I did a rescan for the codes. And that second time I still had the 651, but I also had a 2135 code. Throttle, pedal position sensor, switch AB volt. So I did some research online and thankfully I was able to find a tip that said before you change any sensors, check the wiring harness. So we're going to bring the camera in and I'm going to show you the wiring harness. That was the problem. It was a 50-cent fix. Didn't have to change any sensors. The car, I've been driving it for over a week and a half, had no issues. The problem was a wiring harness. So this will save you a lot of money if you're having the same kind of symptoms, and hopefully it helps you out. Okay, so this is the wiring harness that is the suspect. So this wiring harness, the 2 chafe points, is up here at this canister purge valve. You'll see where that edge can chafe up against the harness. There was no damage here, but if you follow the harness down, right here is your oil filter housing, and I moved it. You can see I wire tied, but this wiring harness was chafing against this sharp edge, and what I did is I peeled back the protective cover, and there was a orange wire with a black trace that had chafed through to bare metal, and I took some JB weld, mixed it up, and put the JB weld over that orange wire with the black trace, and then I put the protective conduit back on and zip tied it up against this AC line so that now it does not chafe up against this oil filter housing. So a very easy fix that caused that reduced power condition, and hopefully that'll help you out. I got a good tip online about checking this wiring harness for rub through, and the first place is at the canister purge solenoid bracket. So right here, and where this bracket hits this harness, and then the other one, which I think is going to be suspect, is at the oil filter housing. So there's the oil filter housing. Here's the wiring harness. I'm going to twist it. And that is definitely suspect. I'm trying to rotate it. That is hitting that is definitely making contact with that wiring harness, and I'm going to pull it back and check those wires. Looking into the mirror, there is an orange wire that has evidence that it's worn through the insulation. So a little background that I didn't tell you earlier was my son, who lives in a different state, took this vehicle to a repair facility. They wanted to charge him over $900 to change a crank sensor, to change spark plugs, and to do a fuel system cleaning, and to change a starter. None of that needed done. So this repair cost me 50 cents, and I want to get the message out to folks just to try to save you some potential heartache if you run into a situation like this. Please subscribe, it helps me out. Like the video, and again, hopefully this will save you some money as it did us. Thank you.